and happens to be the company that you grew up playing games with. And we set out to build a company to solve computer problems that normal computers can't. And that's really the beginning of NVIDIA.
My favorite visual of why a CPU versus a GPU really matters so much is a 15-year-old video on the NVIDIA YouTube channel.
3, 2, 1.
So NVIDIA unlocks all of this new power for video games. Why gaming first?
The video games requires parallel processing for processing 3D graphics. And we chose video games because, one, we loved the application. It's a simulation of virtual worlds, and who doesn't want to go to virtual worlds? And we had the good observation that video games has potential to be the largest market for entertainment ever. And it turned out to be true. And having it being a large market is important because the technology is complicated. And if we had a large market, our R&D budget could be large, we could create new technology. And that flywheel between technology and market and greater technology was really the flywheel that got NVIDIA to become one of the most important technology companies in the world. And it was all because of video games.
I've heard you say that GPUs were a time machine.
Yeah.
Could you tell me more about what you meant by that?
A GPU is like a time machine because it lets you see the future sooner. One of the most amazing things anybody's ever said to me was a quantum chemistry scientist. He said, Jensen, because of NVIDIA's work, I can do my life's work in my lifetime. That's time travel. He was able to do something that was beyond his lifetime, within his lifetime. And this because we make applications run so much faster. And you get to see the future. And so when you're doing weather prediction, for example, you're seeing the future. When you're doing a simulation, a virtual city with virtual traffic, and we're simulating our self-driving car through that virtual city, we're doing time travel.
This moment in 2012 really kicked off this truly seismic shift that we're all seeing with AI right now. Could you describe what that moment was like from your perspective? And what did you see it would mean for all of our futures?
When you create something new like CUDA, if you build it, they might not come. And that's always the cynic's perspective. However, the optimist perspective would say, but if you don't build it, they can't come. And that's usually how we look at the world. You know, we have to reason about intuitively why this would be very useful. And in fact, in 2012, Ilya Sutskever and Alex Krzyzewski and Jeff Hinton in the University of Toronto, the lab that they were at, they reached out to a GeForce GTX 580 because they learned about CUDA and that CUDA might be able to be used as a parallel processor for training AlexNet. And so our inspiration that GeForce could be the vehicle to bring out this parallel architecture into the world, and that researchers would somehow find it someday was a good strategy. It was a strategy based on hope, but it was also reasoned hope. The thing that really caught our attention was simultaneously we were trying to solve the computer vision problem inside the company, and we were trying to get CUDA to be a good computer vision processor. And we were frustrated by a whole bunch of early developments internally with respect to our computer vision effort and getting CUDA to be able to do it. And all of a sudden, we saw AlexNet, this new algorithm that is completely different than computer vision algorithms before it, take a giant leap in terms of capability for computer vision. And when we saw that, it was partly out of interest, but partly because we were struggling with something ourselves. And so we were highly interested to want to see it work. And so when we looked at AlexNet, we were inspired by that. But the big breakthrough, I would say, is when we saw AlexNet, we asked ourselves, how far can AlexNet go? If it can do this with computer vision, how far can it go? And if it could go to the limits of what we think it could go, the type of problems it could solve, what would it mean for the computer industry, and what would it mean for the computer architecture? And we rightfully reasoned that if machine learning, if deep learning architecture can scale, the vast majority of machine learning problems could be represented with deep neural networks. And the type of problems we could solve with machine learning is so vast that it has the potential of reshaping the computer industry altogether, and which prompted us to re-engineer the entire computing stack, which is where DGX came from, and this little baby DGX sitting here. All of this came from that observation that we ought to reinvent the entire computing stack layer by layer by layer. You know, computers, after 65 years since IBM System 360 introduced modern general purpose computing, we've reinvented computing as we know it.
You've been doing this a long time. It feels like there's so much that you've described in this vision ahead. What would the theme be that you would want people to say about what you're trying to do?
Very simply, they made an extraordinary impact. And I think that we're fortunate because of some core beliefs a long time ago, and sticking with those core beliefs and building upon them. We found ourselves today being one of the many most important and consequential technology companies in the world, and potentially ever. And so we take that responsibility very seriously. We work hard to make sure that the capabilities that we've created are available to large companies as well as individual researchers and developers across every field of science, no matter profitable or not, big or small, famous or otherwise. And it's because of this understanding of the consequential work that we're doing and the potential impact it has on so many people that we want to make this capability as pervasively as possible. And I do think that when we look back in a few years, and I do hope that what the next generation realized is well, first of all, they're going to know us because of all the gaming technology we create. I do think that we'll look back and the whole field of digital biology and life sciences has been transformed. Our whole understanding of material sciences has completely been revolutionized. That robots are helping us do dangerous and mundane things all over the place. That if we wanted to drive, we can drive, but otherwise, take a nap or enjoy your car like it's a home theater of yours. Read from work to home, and at that point, you're hoping that you live far away, and so you could be in a car for longer. And you look back and you realize that there's this company almost at the epicenter of all of that, and happens to be the company that you grew up playing games with. And I hope that to be what the next generation learn.
Thank you so much for your time.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'm glad.